Peace. It's me, your girl, Nicole, sister midwife, coming to you with another Monday musing. Now, when I started the Monday musings a couple of weeks ago, I let you all know that I will be talking about all kind of different topics. And so today on this Monday musing, I want to share some things that came up as I mentioned that I was a homeschooler. So to give you the backstory, my daughter needed to get dropped off at 8 a.m. for an all-day birthday celebration. The mom of the birthday girl knew very well that me getting my daughter there at 8 a.m. was like a thing. I had to like plan for it. I had to really process this thing because that's not a part of our routine. We do not get up and out of the house before 8 a.m. unless we absolutely have to. I'm capable of it. I just don't like to and don't do it very often. So when I showed up at the house on time, there was a lot of laughter. And, she was like, I'm proud of you. You made it. I made it there on time. So there was another mom who was there and she was kind of just observing. We didn't know each other. So she's observing our, banter. And I'm like, yeah, she's very clear. She knows me. She knows I'm a homeschooler and we don't start our day this early. In fact, we mostly start our day publicly around 10 a.m. And so this mom looked at me and she was like, homeschooling, man, you're brave. And I find that a lot of people say stuff like that as if what they do is not also brave. Like, I'm like, if you a mom raising children, you are also brave. Okay. So I looked at her and I was like, nah, sis, you brave. Because every day you getting up at 6:30 in the morning, getting the kids ready, dropping them off to school, going to work, coming home, fixing dinner, helping with homework, and doing it all again day after day after day with no end in sight. And in my personal opinion, that right there, that is brave. Okay. And then later on in the day, I started thinking about COVID and how y'all was out here in these streets working full time from home, sharing the kitchen table with your children, homeschooling, all at the same time. And somehow, in spite of the fact that you all have already homeschooled, when I say that I am homeschooling, y'all still look at me like I got one eye and that I'm doing something that's so magnanimous and special, right? You can homeschool if you wanted to. I promise you, you can because you've already done it. So right now, I'm about to share a few thoughts, a few musings, some things with you about my personal homeschooling, unschooling, world schooling journey. There is a lot that I could share. I don't even really know where to begin. But the reality is we still have a lot to learn and a long way to go. So I'm just going to share some stuff with you and I might be a little bit all over the place. But that's, where I am. And if you are currently thinking about homeschooling or you are already homeschooling, I hope that something that I say resonates. And as always, you can take what you like and leave the rest. So first thing I want to say is that this really is all an experiment. There is no one perfect way to homeschool, just like there's no perfect way to do what I call regular school. Now, when I say regular school, I mean if it's Catholic, if it's public, if it's charter, if it's private, whatever it is, all of that is regular school. If you wake up in the morning, Monday through Friday, drop them kids off, and they come home with homework, and they in the building with a whole bunch of other children, a couple of hundred other children, buku teachers, buku classrooms, that's regular school to me. I made some very, very clear decisions that I did not want my daughter, especially in her formative years, to do regular school. And I would say that if you are contemplating this thing or currently doing this thing, you got to know that you got to stay connected to your why. Why are you choosing to homeschool? And once you connected this why, and if you can stay connected to your why, no matter what, no matter the naysayers, no matter when you start doing your own self-doubt about the quality of your homeschooling, your why will continue to connect you to what's important and will guide your decisions. So I'm blessed. I have a brilliant daughter. And if she were in a regular school, she would be a star. Okay. She would also be the one who would get written up every day for talking too much, for being the busybody, for running around the classroom, sending extra notes over here. But mama, I was just answering the questions. I was just helping. I was just this. I was just that. How do I know that this would be her experience, number one, I observe her how she is in the school where she is now, in the space in my home where she is now. I observe how she learns and what she does. And I also know, I have to admit, as they say, the apple don't fall too far. I have to admit that that's how I was in school. I was always the one getting in trouble for, quote, talking too much, especially first, second, third, fourth grade. I stayed in trouble. I would say by the time fifth grade rolled around, they had indoctrinated me. But up until that point, trust and believe, I stayed in trouble for talking too much. My daughter would be that same way, except today is different. And the teachers and the schools are less flexible. There are a lot of reasons why I choose to homeschool. Not leaving my house before 7 a.m. or at 7 a.m. every day is one reason. And allowing my daughter the freedom and the opportunity to just be herself as she learns is another and a more important reason. Now, quick sidebar. Homeschooling is also a part of cultivating the life that I want to live. I'm also an entrepreneur. I have my own business so that I can cultivate the life that I want to live. And we'll have more time on another Monday Musing to discuss that. But the reality is I'm an entrepreneur and a homeschooling mother because I want to create a life that feels a certain kind of way for me. And I also want to demonstrate to my daughter what kind of life she can experience and that she does not, if she chooses, she does not have to get caught up in the Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, that the most of the world is caught up in. Just had a thought. Quick entrepreneur announcement. I am an entrepreneur, so I want to mention my signature Birth is the Revolution logo t-shirts are finally coming out. I have a local partner. We got a whole situation set up. Everything is not fully final, but stay tuned, stay plugged into my social media, so us on Instagram. And I also announced it here on Monday Musings. The t-shirts are coming really soon. In fact, we're going to be doing a pre-sale. So pay attention, and I digress. Okay, so back to the homeschooling. When I observe people's conversation around homeschooling, a lot of the conversation and a lot of the input I see is this emphasis on the early years, the toddler stage, where people are super excited and intentional, and they want their children to be able to read well and have these certain types of mathematic skills. And oh, my child could count to 100 at 3, and I can do multiplication and division, and she's only 4 doing algebra and all of this stuff. And the reality is all that's cute, well, and good. But I'm going to share my experience because I know for me, while I wanted my daughter to be able to excel and read really early, when she was a toddler, I did not have the capacity for that. I lost my mother in 2016. My daughter was a year and a half. And I was not able to take care of my daughter, grieve my mother, and plan any type of structured, intentional homeschooling experience. Quite honestly, I also didn't think it was fully necessary. So I didn't think it was necessary. I was grieving my mama. I was sad half the time. I was tired trying to keep it together. I didn't have time for no curriculum. What I knew though was I did need to have some intentionality. So what I did was I created an intentional YouTube playlist. This intentional YouTube playlist included things like alpha blocks and number blocks. It included Achille, Tinga, 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 Sesame Street, Ubongo Kids, right? Those were all of the things that were on this playlist. Now, this playlist was very specifically structured. Even with Sesame Street, it wasn't willy-nilly all the things on Sesame Street. I was very intentional about what she saw on all of these things, the episodes, the clips, and we had this playlist. And she listened to it and watched it over and over all the time, the same playlist. Now, outside of that playlist, we did not do electronics. She was not playing games on the iPad. She was not playing games on the computer. She was not playing games on nobody's cell phone. She did not have access to any of those things. The first time she fully had access to any real electronic was when she was 4. And that's a whole nother story for a whole nother day. We were traveling to Belize the first time we left the country together. And I was really doing some self-care and self-healing that I needed. and she got an iPad at that time. Prior to that, as an infant toddler, she wasn't doing none of those things. And so we had puzzles and we had blocks and we had Legos and we had learning style games that she could use to learn. We had like what is it, memory? Those are the kinds of things that we did. We did read books. But I got to be honest with you, I did not read books every day like I wanted to, like I intended to, like the research tells us we should be reading a book every day. I did not have the capacity. And so I did not put a lot of pressure on myself. I just kept reminding myself that this was an experiment, that she was going to be fine. I thought about our elders. I thought about my pre-K experience. And I realized, like, even as an infant, not an infant, but as a young girl myself, I did go to like a daycare when I was about 4 years old. I remember that before I went into kindergarten. But other than that, I didn't have anything. I was with my grandmother. And my grandmother taught me how to count, not because we were counting every day, but sometimes you ended up at the grocery store and you had to pull a number so you could determine who was next in line to get their sandwich meat. And if we had number 24, I knew how to watch the little ticker that went from 19 to 20 to 21, to 24. I knew how to count. When we checked out at the line at Schwagman's, if you my age and you from New Orleans, you know what Schwagman's is. When we checked out at the line at Schwagman's, I helped count the change. When I would go to Baton Rouge to my other grandmother's house, we would walk down the street to the store. Yes, as even a little girl, we're walking, learning in that way. We are learning as we live. We are learning as we live. With my daughter, let me share this. With my daughter, I did have a very small time, about 6 months, when she was about 3.5 years old, where I sent her to a small home-based daycare, pre-K type of environment, 1 day a week. I knew that in that environment that they were teaching her different things and that there was an intentional curriculum. That's not why I sent her there. I sent her there because I needed 1 day a week to regroup and to pour into myself for my own sanity. So at the end of the day, the reality is I didn't do much with clear, I had intention, but there wasn't any type of curriculum. There wasn't any Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we do this, and Tuesday, Thursday, we do that, and we go to the park on these. There's none of that existed. We was just living. We were just living. I was just trying to stay alive, still grieving. And I want my daughter then and now to just know that learning can be fun and that learning can really just be connected to living. Everything that you do all around you, there is something to learn. And that's how we've been kind of moving through this homeschooling journey. There's been different ins and outs, different opportunities that we tried. I'll share them again in another time, in another Monday Musing. But I will say that now that she's older, it's even becoming more fun. She likes learning and she knows so much random stuff. I'm learning so much all the time about how much she knows, and I don't even really know how she knows some of the stuff because I did not teach her. So, like, to give you an example, recently I purchased these vegan chicken nuggets called Dino Nuggets, and she's looking at the bag of the Dino Nuggets, and she was like, "Oh, this is so cool!" And all of the dinosaurs on this bag, they're all herbivores. Now, listen, every dinosaur was not an herbivore. I know me. I couldn't tell you which dinosaurs were herbivores and which dinosaurs are carnivores and all that stuff, but she knows those things. Homeschooling works, y'all. Homeschooling works. And I think it is important to know that it does not have to be as strict as everybody thinks. Give yourself some grace, mom, if you're not following the script and following the curriculum every day, all day, point to point to point. I promise you, these children are learning. They are observing, they are copying, they are following, they are learning, they are growing. Okay. Another quick tip I want to mention to you is the importance of having a community. So during the 3-year-old, 4-year-old pre-K years, there were a few of us in my community who we kind of took turns. Again, it was not with no formality. It wasn't like Monday they're here and Tuesday they're there and Wednesday. It was like, hey, y'all, what y'all doing on Thursday? I could keep the children for a few hours and there would be a drop off. It was not every day. It was not every week. It was sometimes whenever the mama had time. And I was sometimes that mama. I would have time and I would have the children over, and it was mostly play. Let's walk to the garden that's on the corner. Let's go in the backyard and pick flowers. Let's just live and experience and look at the butterflies and the bumblebees. Let's paint. Let's play a game. And that's how we did it. Then around 6 years old, when my daughter was about 6 years old, myself and a few other moms, we actually started a legitimate learning collective. Like, we was ready for the thing, right? Now, keep in mind, at this point, none of our children had been in a regular school setting. So none of them really understood what that kind of concept felt like. So we spent the first few months, 5 months maybe, just helping them understand that we're going to have a routine, and you're going to come in and you're going to write your name on the paper, and then we'll have lunch and we'll go to the park, and we're creating this. And there was a lot of interpersonal dynamics that we had to deal with, who liked who and who wanted to sit next to who, and all kind of stuff that we didn't even know we were going to have to deal with, right? And as soon as we were starting to figure it out and get comfortable, boom, COVID happened. We stopped the programming and we never went back to doing our homeschool collective. That said, all of these moms and all of these girls, we had all girls. There's a whole little girl gang. We used to have, it was fun. We called them the gang, and they are still a part of my mom community, a part of my homeschooling community. And this is important because there will be people, times, and experiences where you will question, am I doing the right thing? And it is so wonderful to have other moms, other children that you can look at and be like, yeah, we are good. We are surviving. Our children are learning, growing, and thriving, and it feels good. As a part of our homeschool journey, we also spent 1 year at a local small agile learning center. And the other day, my daughter and I were out to dinner, and we ran into one of the families who were also used to be at that Agile Learning Center. So this particular school is no longer in operation. And so we ran into one of the families. This is one of our favorite families, one of my daughter's best friends from that school. And it was so good to see them. It was so good to reconnect. Their daughter is now a little bit older. She's a little bit older than my daughter. And now she did homeschooling with them for a couple of years. And now she's in a regular school. It's a Waldorf school, but it's still Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 type vibe. I'm saying 9 to 5. Y'all know whatever the time is for y'all schools. And so I go up to the mom. I'm like, listen, we're also looking for some new ideas and some new ways to go. Currently, Kaylile is connected to an online virtual program where she is connected to her classmates across the country in this African-centered school 4 days a week, a little time in the morning, a little time in the afternoon, 4 days a week. And it is fine. She learns, she likes her friends, she likes what she's learning, but she is also becoming bored and she wants to be more connected in person to different things and different places and different experiences. And so I realized that now it is time for me to again shift how this unschooling, world schooling, homeschooling experience is going to be. So when I saw this mom from a couple of years ago, I was like, listen, I'm getting ready to do some things for the new year or at some point in 2025. And I would love to be in touch. So we got reacclimated, re-exchanged information and numbers. And the daughter is sitting there like, yeah, because I don't like my new school. And it's like the beauty of having that community. When we saw them, it was immediate like, oh my God, how have you been? How's the homeschooling journey? And the community is so important to remind you that you're not crazy. You're not negligent. Your children are learning. They are doing well. And you're going to get through this. And you know what you're doing. And you are capable. And it's all good, right? So I'm coming to an end. I'm coming up to an end. And I want to just say, don't forget, it's an experiment. There's no perfect adults, which means there's no perfect parents, which means there's no perfect schooling options. Everything has to be done in a way that it is in alignment with how you want to show up in the life that you want to create in the world. Make sure that you are having fun, that your children are having fun. When my daughter said to me that right now she is bored and she wants to have more fun, she likes learning. She likes seeing her friends, but she doesn't always want to go to the school because it's no longer fun. That let me know that I had to make some changes. Learning can be and should be fun. Remember that there has never been a guidebook, not no guidebook. That's true. There are going to be people who claim to be experts in education and child this and child that, and they wrote books and they give you some tips, and we can all learn skills and tips from the experts. That said, nobody is you except you, and no children are your children except your children. So we can never do it exactly like our parents did it, because we are not our parents and our children are not us. And the times are different. Just like we were different for them, our children are different for us. So all we can do is the best that we can. We want to help nurture the future human and our children that we want them to become. We do the best that we can be to be brave. We do the best that we can do to be brave. And I promise you, she told me I was brave. I'm going to let you know, if you are parenting right now in 2025, you are brave. We are all brave. We are mothers, fathers, parents, navigating the way for our children. We choose different paths, and that's okay. We are all still brave. So again, if you are currently homeschooling, thinking about homeschooling, I hope that something that I shared today resonates with you. Take what you like, leave the rest, and I look forward to talking with you on next week's Monday Musing. Peace.